Hey y'all, it's Brittany. How's it going today? I hope everyone is doing well. Today's video, I'm talking about my second of three web apps I have deployed on the web. This one is called Go Lotto. As you can see here on the screen, this is the blog post where I wrote about the project, and I wrote about why I created it, the code that's running it, and I had a previous video available on my channel where I talked about it. But I mean, I like the way I talk, but I also like the NotebookLM, the podcasters on that how they go and they do a deep dive depending on the source, the material that you give it. And I went ahead, took the URL of my blog post, threw it into NotebookLM, and I got a nice little deep dive. I want to go ahead and react to it because I like the pizzazz that the two chatbots, because basically that's what they are, the two hosts. I really do like the pizzazz, and I like to see how the software, this large language model, is pulling the information and making a podcast out of it. Sometimes it runs really well, sometimes it just goes off the rails. And I think that's just, the AI is not perfect. And so I'm going to talk, I'm gonna react to that, and then I'm going to showcase the code on my GitHub and showcase how the website works while the podcasters are talking. So let's go ahead and get started.
What's the story behind it?
Learn some new tech skills. Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at a story that really shows how you can help out family and learn some new tech skills all at the same time.
Oh, yeah?
We're talking about Brittany Gateson and her web app called...
That's the first issue. This time, the chatbot is not pronouncing my last name correctly. It's putting an N in there, even though my name is right here. I'll zoom in for those who are looking at the screen. So Brittany Gates, but it's called me Brittany Gateson. Not sure why that's happening, but it's not the first time my name has been mispronounced.
Go Lotto.
Sounds intriguing. What's the story behind it?
So Brittany built this app to help her mom,
Okay.
who is an avid lottery player.
I see.
And she needed a way to generate random numbers for different lottery games.
Makes sense. So this app takes the guesswork out of picking numbers.
Exactly. And it's pretty
Exactly.
impressive that Brittany was able to pull this off.
Really?
Because her background is actually in data center tech. So she had to kind of level up her skill set to become a software engineer to create this app.
That's quite a leap. So where did she start? How do you go from data centers to building web apps?
Well, the first step was getting a domain name.
Right, the website address.
Yeah, she went with Go Lotto, which I think is very catchy.
Catchy indeed. And where did she register the domain?
Namecheap.
Namecheap. Good choice. A lot of people use them. All right, so he's got the name. Now what? How did she actually build the website itself?
Well, when you look at Go Lotto, there's the front end, which is what you see and interact with, and then there's the back end, which is like all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Makes sense. So what did she use for the front end?
For that, she decided to use Bootstrap.
Bootstrap. Good choice. It's really popular and user-friendly.
Yeah, and it's known for being really user-friendly both for developers and for the people using the website.
Absolutely. Bootstrap gives you a great foundation for building a good-looking and functional website. But did she just use Bootstrap, or did she add anything else to the mix?
She also used HTML and CSS to give it a little bit more of a personalized touch.
That makes sense. HTML provides the structure of the web page, and then CSS is what you use to style it to make it look the way you want it to.
Right, so...
I mean, they're not wrong, but you got to use HTML, CSS because that's the building blocks. But
Bootstrap handles the layout and basic styling, and then HTML and CSS.
well, Bootstrap handles more. I love Bootstrap because it's an easy way to create responsive website design. And for those who don't know, responsive websites are a website that will change size depending on the device used. So a mobile phone has a smaller screen than a desktop computer. A laptop has a bigger screen than a tablet. So Bootstrap allows you to make or design your website to appear really good, no matter what type of screen size. And so I know there's other frameworks out there, other libraries you can use. I know Tailwind CSS is very popular, but I love Bootstrap. I've been using it for years and years and years, and it just works really well for a simple website. Even if you have a large, complicated website, it still works well. So that's the main reason I use it.
CSS fill in the details.
Exactly. Now, what about the back end? What's powering the behind-the-scenes magic?
So she chose to use Python.
Python, a very versatile language. A lot of web developers use that.
Yeah, and Flask, which is a framework that's like really good for building these kind of smaller, self-contained web applications.
Ah, so Flask is like the engine that makes the app run, handling all the requests and data processing.
That's right.
Yeah, so we've got the website looking good thanks to Bootstrap, HTML, and CSS, and the backend humming along with Python and Flask. But how does it actually generate those random numbers? I mean, that's the whole point of the app, right?
Right. How does it actually pick those lottery numbers?
Well, that's where Brittany's coding skills really come in.
Okay.
She wrote all the code for generating these numbers in Python,
Okay.
and she put it into a module called games.py.
A module. So it's like a container that holds all the code for generating the numbers.
Yeah, you can think of it that way.
Smart way to organize things, keep everything related in one place.
And within that module, she created separate functions for each lottery game.
Ah, so there's a function for, say, Cash 3, a different function for Mega Billions, and so on. That way she can tailor the number generation to the specific rules of each game.
Right, so there's a function for Cash 3, another for Mega Millions.
Makes sense. But isn't it just picking numbers at random? Or is there more to it than that?
It's a little more nuanced than just randomly picking numbers.
Oh, how so?
Because each game has like different rules about the number ranges.
Yeah, that's true. Like how many numbers you pick and the range of those numbers.
And whether duplicate are allowed.
Oh, right. Some games allow you to have the same number multiple times, others don't.
So for instance, Cash 3 allows duplicate numbers.
Okay.
But Mega Millions generally doesn't.
Except for that Mega Ball, right?
Right, except for the Mega Ball.
So she had to account for all these variations when writing the code.
Yeah, she had to write code that could handle all these little differences.
That's pretty impressive. So she's using Python's random number generator, but then adding extra logic on top of that to make sure the numbers follow the rules of each game.
Exactly. And
I just let them talk because they are hitting it out the park. They understood the assignment. They were able to pull the text I wrote here on my blog post and correctly explain how it all works, which is why I was just quiet. I was like, okay, the robots, the chatbots, they're getting it correct. So it is totally correct. They are going through it and they are understanding how the code works, which is really great. So even though they mispronounced my last name, they got like all this other stuff correct.
she uses Python's built-in random module to actually generate the random integers,
Okay.
but then adds like extra logic to make sure they comply with the game's specific rules.
That's some clever coding. So let's say the games.py module has done its job, the numbers have been generated, what happens next? How do those numbers actually get displayed on the website for the user to see?
So for that, we have to talk about another important file, main.py.
Main.py, what's that one all about?
This is where
Okay,
Flask
they
comes in.
mispronounced
Okay.
that.
Main.py is like a traffic director.
Traffic director.
It routes users to the correct page based on, which lottery game they choose.
I get it. So if I click on, say, Mega Millions, main.py knows to send me to the Mega Billions page.
Right.
That makes sense. And I'm assuming it also calls the right function from games.py to get the correct set of numbers.
Exactly. So if you're on the Mega Millions page, it calls that Mega Millions function to generate those 6 random numbers.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how the pieces fit together. The user makes a choice, main.py directs them to the right page and calls the appropriate function, and then games.py actually generates the numbers. But how do the numbers actually show up on the page?
So that's where the HTML templates come in.
Ah, the templates. That's what actually creates the layout of the web page, right?
Right.
So how do the random numbers get integrated into those templates?
They contain like special placeholders?
Placeholders, like blank spaces that get filled in with the random numbers.
Yeah.
Clever. So how are those placeholders marked in the code?
They're marked with double curly braces.
Double curly braces, okay. Like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, and I'm guessing when the page
were
loads,
correct, yeah.
main.py takes the random numbers from games.py and inserts them into those placeholders.
Exactly. So where you saw in the template, you now see the actual random number.
That's really slick. Makes it so dynamic. And I bet there's also some code for that button that lets the user generate new numbers if they want to try again.
Yeah, there's a button that basically reruns the whole process.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So gets new random numbers from games.py and updates what's displayed on the page.
Right.
It's like having a mini lottery machine right on your computer.
Pretty much.
Click Go
Basically.
Lotto. It really lives up to its name. It sounds super user-friendly. So basically, she's taken all the complexity of generating lottery numbers that follow the rules of each game and wrap it up in a neat little package that anyone can use.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that Brittany doesn't have any major plans to modify the app unless like the lottery rules change.
Oh, wow. So it's essentially complete.
Yeah, it's essentially a complete tool.
That's impressive. She saw a problem, figured out the solution, and built it herself.
It's really amazing how something as simple as picking lottery numbers can spark this whole journey into software development.
It really makes you think about the potential of personal projects. I mean, sometimes the best way to learn is by doing.
So we've covered how Go Lotto works, but I'm
It's not sometimes, it's always. Um, I've been in IT for a long time now. This year will be 17 years. I pivoted from being a writer to IT in 2008, around the Great Recession. And I got my first job around May 2008. And so, yeah, it's been a very long time now. And when I look back over my career, the way I learned the best is by doing, getting my hands dirty. So when I was learning how to improve, or when I was improving my computer hardware, troubleshooting and repair skills, I had I had a spare computer that I was using, and that one I didn't care about messing up Windows or breaking parts on it. It was a spare computer, and I put the time into honing my skills, improving them, learning how to troubleshoot problems, creating problems so I could troubleshoot them. And that's what I did over the years to as my career progressed. And so when I would run into an issue, I moved from using an actual computer to VMs, and it's just and that just grew my experience even more. And now that I am trying to pivot from a hardware or a because data centers is very manual. I'm moving to that or trying to move into a software engineering role, trying to become basically a junior developer. I'm doing the same thing. I'm learning by doing, and that has really cemented what I have learned over the years. I have used various learning methods. I learned Python way back in 2018 using a Udemy class. Really good. I have suggested that Udemy class to other people who are interested in, but it's I think like 80 hours long. And it takes, if you're just watching the videos and not doing anything, you're not typing along, you're not going to learn much. Recently, I have switched over to books. So I have them over here on my desk. I talked about this book. I wrote a review about this book on my blog. It's the Python Crash Course. Just trying to make sure everyone can see it. Great book. I highly recommend if you are trying to learn Python, or maybe you know another programming language and you want to learn Python. It's a great course. Great book. I'm getting my thoughts mixed up with that Udemy course. And I'm currently reading this one, Think Python, which is how to think like a computer scientist. So it goes into a little bit of the basics of Python, but this one is more intermediate, and that's what I'm doing. It has exercises. I'm working on those. I'm also building my own projects from ideas I get. My last project that I uploaded to GitHub, I got the idea from a project out of the Python Crash Course book. And it was just like a little small project. And it was with data visualization. And I was like, oh, I think this would be cool to do on the side. Go ahead, and I fleshed it out, wrote it down. I write my ideas. Here's my notebook where I write my ideas and I design stuff. And so that's these ideas. That's how I'm growing. That's how I'm cementing that knowledge. And this is another reason I'm making these videos, to help others who are, maybe you're trying to pivot from a hard IT role like I'm in, and you want to go to software engineering, or maybe you're just interested in software engineering. And I want to give you ideas of how to find projects that are unique. So you're not doing some other tutorial that thousands of other people have done. Nothing against that. It's great when you are learning the basics, but you need to start developing your own ideas, because that will set you apart. That will differentiate you from the others who are just putting these, projects out there. So, yeah, learn by doing. Let's see what else they have to say.
curious about, the bigger picture.
Yeah, what's the bigger picture here? Why build this when there are already websites and apps that can generate random numbers?
That's a great question.
That's what we'll delve into in part 2. So we're back, and we've been talking about Brittany Gateson's Go Lotto app.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat solution.
But, you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble to build a whole app?
Yeah, why not just use one of those websites that generate random numbers? There are plenty of those out there.
Exactly.
So what's the advantage of building your own?
Well, one of the biggest advantages is customization.
That's true.
Customization, okay.
Brittany was able to tailor Go Lotto specifically to her mom's needs.
Ah, so it's all about creating a tool that's perfectly suited to the user.
And not only just to my mom specifically, people like my mom. My mom is a boomer, and nothing against boomers, but they are, for my mom, she worked on computers way back in the 70s, and she had the punch cards, all that other stuff. So she is computer literate. But I also know that with the new phones and the new laptops and stuff, simpler is better. And so I wanted to make a simple to use or easy to use website. And that made me think of, okay, how can I just get the numbers on the screen, have them click a button to get another set of numbers, and if they want to go to another like Cash for Life, okay, how can they navigate? So it made me start thinking how to make things easy to use. So it made me start thinking of UI UX design. And I don't really have much experience in that, but I can look, I can research, I can find out. And that's the part of learning, that's a part of improving. And so yes, they're right, customization, but I'm also thinking not just of my mom, but other people who are like her. And maybe they have less computer literacy, maybe they have more, but simple is always better.
Right. She made sure that it handles like the specific lottery games her mom plays.
Right, because not all lottery games are the same. Different rules, different number ranges.
Exactly. And that it like follows all the rules perfectly.
So it's about having complete control and
Mhm.
making sure it fits the user's needs perfectly.
Yeah. And plus, let's not forget the learning aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Building something from scratch is a fantastic way to learn.
Building
Mhm.
something like this is like a great way to gain new skills
You're basically learning by doing.
and to get a deeper understanding of how things work.
Right. You run into problems, you have to figure out solutions. It's a real challenge.
Think about it. She basically
That's all
like
it is.
leveled up from data center tech to software engineer.
Wow, that's quite a journey. So it's not just about the end product, it's also about the skills you pick up along the way.
Yeah.
And the friends we made along the way. I'm going to end the podcast here. I actually listened to it this time because it was much longer than previous ones that I generated. And the podcast hosts are going to go down this whole path of trying to help the listener develop their own projects using random number generators. Nothing against that, but it has nothing to do with my blog post. This time, NotebookLM, I don't know what the software did. It went on this whole path of improvement and helping people to improve their skill set. So I am overall with this episode that it generated, or deep dive, I should say. I am happy with it overall. It's still a piece of software that needs work. It pronounces some words correctly, then mispronounces them. It mispronounced my name, my last name, all throughout. Even though before, in previous iterations that I've used with the software, it was okay. So, the software, it still needs to be ironed out, but I'm overall happy with it. It got the if you want to say meat and potatoes, it got the critical parts of my blog post. It understood that, it understood the code, it understood how the code worked together and how the pages display on the screen. And so I am very happy with that, which is why I can overlook the little mispronunciations. That happens. I mispronounce words too. But that's it about this this web app of mine. Yeah, I have no plans to update it. It's running pretty well. Go ahead and use it yourself. I'll put a link to it. It's a link to a description box below. Might already be one there, but I could put one into it. But yeah, you can also search through Google and have fun with it. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you have any questions or comments, put it down in the comment box down below. I'll get back to you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing because it does help me out. And again, thank you for watching. I always thank the viewer for watching, especially if you watch throughout the entire video. And I will see y'all in the next video.